Hey guys, what's up? It's JR Cuber, and in this video we've got another unboxing from thecubicle.com. In here is the new WRM 2020, so let's go ahead and open it up and check it out. Oh wow, okay, we got a lot of stuff in here. So we get the cube and then a whole bunch of accessories. So let's take a look at these real quick. All right, so it looks like we get a spare core, a screwdriver, the tension adjuster things that you can get even tensions, and then this is the spring tension adjuster, and then it looks like we get a whole other set of hardware, as well as some spare magnets, and then underneath, it looks like there's just a pamphlet. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the cube itself. As with several past flagship MoYu cubes, it comes with this stand that you can basically build out of the bottom part of this thing, but let's just go ahead and move on to the puzzle. All right, so here it is. This is MoYu's latest flagship, the WRM 2020. So just an updated version of the original WRM, which has been a very, very popular cube. It's been my main for a while now. So just right off the bat holding the cube, this definitely has a matte finish. Seems to be the norm now with new cubes. Luckily, these matte finishes do wear off pretty quickly with some break-in time, but at first it is still kind of annoying. Also, it feels considerably lighter than the WRM. I have my WRM here to compare it, and there is a good noticeable difference. I think this one's about 15 grams lighter. As for a quick size comparison, it looks like they're pretty much exactly the same size as you would expect. But let's go ahead and get into the turning here. Oh, whoops, I've already messed up the cube. Wow, okay, this feels very, very different out of the box to the WRM. Definitely a lot more swishy. It's got a lot more of a sandy, smooth feel. I assume that will partly go away with break-in, but it feels really, really pronounced on this cube. The turning itself, though, there's not really any other bumps besides the magnets in the turns, and you can even hear how sandy it is. Sandy's not really the right word. It's much more of like a papery, smooth feel. It definitely will slow down a bit more with lube, but just out of the box, it is really, really fast. It's not super uncontrollable, and it does feel really, really stable. However, it feels a little bit snappy, a little more snappy than the WRM. But this is just overall has a much lighter feel to the turns. The WRM definitely, I think you could be a bit rougher with. This seems a little bit more delicate. You have to be a little more precise with your turns. So I'll compare the sounds between these two cubes because they do sound pretty different. Here is the original WRM. So you can hear it has a much more higher pitched clicky sound. And then here is the WRM 2020. It doesn't have that same like gummy sound to it, probably because this is just pretty dry. Let's go ahead and take a look at the pieces actually. So this is an edge from the WRM 2020. As you can see, it's pretty simple. It just has this one main track here and the torpedo. And then here it is compared to the WRM. So this one, it looks like it has a slightly longer edge base here. This seems a bit more simplified. This also seems to have a bit of a different shaped torpedo on the base of the edge there. And overall, it's just shaped a little bit differently, but almost the same. And then here we have a corner piece on the WRM 2020. Now this is really interesting. This groove pattern is definitely pretty new. Haven't really seen anything like this. So I'm not sure what's special about this specific design in particular, or if it's just kind of arbitrary. But yeah, other than that, the corner looks pretty similar. We'll compare it though. So here is a corner of the original WRM. So as you can see, there's much more just classic track lines here. So comparatively, the corner base has been simplified, not really simplified, but just shortened a bit, it looks like. It looks like this part here in the middle is protruding out a bit farther than it is on this piece. As you can see, this lip right here. So another change between these two puzzles, we have the original WRM on the left here, is that the centerpieces are now made with primary plastic. On here, the centers are the full color all the way through. Now it's just the caps. But other than that, there doesn't seem to be that many changes between these two puzzles, as you would expect with a cube of the same name. Even though the mechanism is almost identical, the cube does have a very, very different feel. I assume it's a different plastic type. The plastic also seems a little bit thinner on this cube, which definitely would make it lighter. The lighter, more airy, smooth kind of feel definitely makes it feel a little bit cheaper. It doesn't feel quite as sturdy and robust and well put together like the WRM does. but it is still pretty stable and really smooth and turns really well. So I still think this is going to be a pretty awesome cube. Right out of the box, I don't really like it more than the original WRM, but I wasn't really expecting to. I'm going to have to spend some time working with this cube, break it in a bit, lubricate it properly. One thing I want to check though before I do, yes, it does have the dual adjustment system as usual. So I think I'm going to go ahead and do is set it to the usual 4th setting. So there are actually 9 tensions on this. I think I've been counting it wrong for a while here. This base tension is technically 1, right? So then from there you would count up. So this would be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then it resets. So the 4th level spring compression is actually the 5th level technically, if you count this base state as 1. I don't know, depends on how you count. So if I actually go 4 clicks, that's technically the 5th setting. So we'll go ahead and do that on all sides. All right. Okay, yeah, this definitely feels a little more like a WRM now. The layers definitely feel like they've got a little bit more momentum to them now. Now they just feel a little bit heavier, which I really like. Yeah, overall, I think this is going to be a pretty great cube. So I'm going to go ahead and set this cube up, break it in, and I'll be back to let you know some more of my final thoughts on the WRM 2020. Okay, so I've had a chance to break this cube in now, and it is still lightning fast. This cube eats lube more than I think any cube I've ever tried. I put in probably about 10 drops of Lubical Silk and another 5 or 6 drops of Compound 10, both pretty slow lubes, and this cube is still almost as fast as it was before. All of that lube has definitely softened the feel a bit. It's not quite as swishy and is more of a silky smooth feel, but man, is it still extremely fast. I did end up going back to the base spring compression setting simply because the cube can be quite catchy, and tightening the spring compression beyond the base setting only makes it more catchy and blocky, so I just leave it at the base setting. I think part of this catchiness is the crazy speed. I do overshoot more often with this puzzle and find it much harder to control than the WRM. The corner cutting is quite snappy as well, but I don't want to loosen it anymore because it'll just become too unstable, and the magnets aren't quite strong enough to compensate for that. One definite positive of the fast turning is that you can go for a lot longer. You can do longer sessions. The problem for me is that a faster cube requires more intentional and precise turning, which can often become a mental block that's hard to get over while solving. With the original WRM, the more controllable, fluid nature of the puzzle makes it a lot easier to be aggressive when you need to. Solving with a really fast cube like the WRM 2020 requires me to be really cognizant of my turning at all times, which can be a good thing for some people, especially if you're working on becoming a more accurate turner, but I just tend to prefer cubes that I can just go ham with and not really worry about overshooting, knowing that my own TPS will not exceed the speed of the cube in most cases. When the speed of the cube exceeds the capacity of my TPS, I always have to hold back just a little, which often leads to me being more hesitant during solves. This cube is going to be great for really light and accurate turners who aren't prone to TPS spam like I am, but for me, I feel a lot more comfortable with a slower, heavier, and more springy cube that's a little bit more forgiving if you over or undershoot. That's not to say the cube is bad though. It's actually pretty great. I can get some pretty amazing times with this cube, but I just really have to be in the zone. It does have a lot of stability too, which you definitely need with a fast cube. A fast cube that's unstable just does not work, but this cube is really solid, even though it's so light. And you can increase that stable feeling too by compressing the springs. So this cube is a definite win in that department. Overall though, I can't really say I like this cube more than the WRM, but this cube also seems to be made for a different type of cuber than me. So I'm sure many of you out there would love this cube, but for me, I would probably pick up the original WRM more often than this cube. However, if you want a light, stable, super fast 3x3, the WRM 2020 is pretty much the best there is. It's $35 on thecubicle.com. I'll of course leave a link in the description. I'll also leave a link to where you can get this t-shirt made by Adam Vetzer or the Rubik's Cubed. Today is the last day you can get these on his Etsy. It's also my birthday, by the way. I'm 19 now. Not really that exciting of an age, but whatever. But yeah, if you're interested in this shirt or the Lo-Fi Beats to Cube 2 shirt, definitely be sure to check out the link in the description. Remember, today is the last day you can order the shirts. All right. Thanks so much to The Cubicle for sending me the MoYu WRM 2020 for free to review. If you guys want to support the channel, you can like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, turn on notifications, and use code JRCuber at thecubicle.com for a 5% discount. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.